mixed with that? Why is he sending you a reminder and you are thanking him? Why do you not say, I told you not to send me these things because there's nothing I can do?
Chairperson, I think what's clear here is that he's clearly of the mistaken view that I can check compliance first.
Yeah, but he can't make the same mistake repeatedly. The first time you tell him this cannot be done, then if he understood you, he would stop. The fact that he keeps repeating it and you keep thanking him suggests that you didn't make it clear to him that you are in the middle of a tender process, you cannot interfere, he must stop asking you to check compliance. Clearly you did not do that.
Chair, firstly, it's the second time he sends me this, and it's the first time I actually respond. It's the first time I say thank you for your reminder. But as we go along, Chair, you'll understand why I'm mentioning this on purpose, and I'm bringing the number of events that came about with this particular tender. So, 157, with your permission, if I can continue. It will take you to where you want to go, Chair. 157,
before
the
we
25th
go
of
on,
March.
I don't understand your response.
Yes.
Earlier, you said you told him that you could not assist because of the stage at which the process was. Then there are the calls between the two of you, and then bottom of 152, he sends you the names of the two entities again, and you thank him. I don't understand your response to the questions by my co-commissioners. Can you please make me understand?
So the purpose of my response was to thank him for the reminder, Chair. I did mention earlier on.
He was reminding you, what exactly was the reminder about?
So we go on a call, as previously said.
Sorry?
On 152, Chair, we go on a phone call.
Yes.
He calls me, he reminds me, did you check compliance for the entities that I had sent you before?
That's exactly the issue about which you had said you could not assist, not so?
Exactly, Chair.
So what's the reminder about if you could not assist? What's the reminder about?
Chair, this is clearly someone who's either persistent or doesn't understand or keeps on triggering the event. This is clear. So from my perspective, I need to deal with these matters in a strategic manner. I need to ensure that firstly, I make myself clear on what I can do, what I can't do within the ambit of the law.
So the strategy is to thank him?
Chair, I'm going there because this thing persists, it doesn't stop here. So now I'm just thanking him for the reminder. That's all I'm doing. He sends me the names of the entities, he asks me to check for compliance. I tell him I don't recall, during the phone call, I don't recall receiving these entities. He had sent them to me on the 11th of March. I don't recall. He said, I will remind you. He then sends it. Then, Chairperson and Co-Commissioner, I say, I thank you for the reminder.
Maybe let me, at this point, I don't understand. I don't understand the thank you. But maybe you will take us where you'll make us understand. But right now, I just do not understand.
Okay, Chair.
Yeah.
I'll move forward, Chair, on page 157. This is now the 25th of March. There's been an instance on the 11th of March, a second instance on the 18th of March, a third instance on the 25th of March now. On 157, again, you will see, he sends me a list of those two entities again at 8:12. I do nothing about it. Don't respond to him. The response that you see later is at 12:44. It doesn't have any relation in terms of the previous message. Again, Chairperson, this is someone who is persisting. And the reason for persistence would be in two fashions. Firstly, he doesn't understand what I said to him in terms of there's nothing I can do, I can't check compliance for you. Secondly, he's persisting and he's really trying his luck now. That's from my point of view, and I need to express that to the Commission on how I viewed the situation and how I understood the context of this repetitiveness at this period in time.
What you call a second approach on the same subject, you thanked him. So you can't complain about him being persistent when you had thanked him on the second occasion.
No, Chair, I think thanking is on the reminder. I'm not thanking him for sending me names. I'm thanking him for reminding me. I told him I don't remember. So we can't put a link between thanking me, between me thanking him, and me saying, I will make magic for you, and I'll miraculously check compliance on those documents. I wouldn't feel that's a fair linkage that we can do at this stage, because I'm trying to explain the sequence of events in the context of what was transpiring within these events.
You
And
see
how I was, you see, Chair, it gets worse at 177.
Yeah.
And-
You see, my difficulty is when you speak to the texts, not reading them, you appear, in terms of tone, to have been annoyed by what he was doing. Am I getting the correct sense?
I completely ignore him at this stage, Chair. I don't even say anything. Which
But
means
you
from
were-
my perspective,
Were you or were you not annoyed?
yeah, I'm at a stage where I'm rolling my eyes now, Chair.
Sorry?
I'm at a stage where I'm literally rolling my eyes now, and I am getting a bit annoyed. At this stage, at 157. This is the third instance where he's sending me these things.
And you are not telling him so. At no point are you telling him so. Or are you still to take us there?
I told him, remember, Chair. I had explained to the commission that I had told him.
No, I'm not asking about you telling him
Yes.
that the process is at this stage now and I cannot assist. That's not what I'm asking about.
Yes.
I'm asking about the stage when you are now annoyed. So I'm saying, and you do not tell him that you are annoyed. This is what I told you, Sergeant Ngozi, and you are persisting. I'm annoyed with you now.
So, Chairperson, an expression of annoying or could be expressed in different ways. Firstly,
Show me where you expressed it in a different way.
Chairperson, if you can just allow me to explain how you would normally, in a normal instance. Firstly, you write a message and you say, look, stop doing this. I'm annoyed. Secondly, you completely ignore an issue. This is from my perspective now, and this is how I deal with matters on a day-to-day basis. I would ignore a complete topic whatsoever. Firstly, if I could express it to you and explain it to you clearly via telephonic call, I would do that. So there are three mechanisms which I use to express that. I telephonically had a discussion with Sergeant Nkosi. I expressly made it clear to you. There's nothing I can do to check compliance for you. This body is closed. An individual who persists, once I've said, Chair, I'm not going to waste my time and entertain that any further.
If I were him, if I were him, I would probably have persisted as well. When you thank me, when I make a second approach, you thank me, I would probably have persisted as well.
So, Chair, this is the third instance, and I ignore that now. It's my second way.
You've not ignored it. You say Mfowethu. You've not ignored it. You say Mfowethu.
If you look at the times, Chair, you can't link those two. The one is at 8:12. The second is at 10:44. And it's for a completely different discussion. So we can't link those two together. Had it been immediately after, I'll say 3 to 5 minutes, I would agree with you that, yeah, I am saying Mfowethu. I ignored this, Chair. Clear distinction in time.
Can I show you that you did not ignore him?
Yes,
Just
Commissioner.
your response to Chair, can I show you that you did not ignore him?
On 157.
No, go to 177.
Oh, I'm getting there, Chair. I'm getting there. Remember, I'm saying there are 4 instances.
No, but it's
Commission,
the
Chair.
same.
Let me get to 177 in the 4th instance. I want to get there now.
So, Mr. Mnisi, let's do this. All I was doing for now was to counter your response to the Chair that you did not respond to him for 4 hours. Because you said to Chair, if you look at the time, it's 6 o'clock, and then you respond to him at 10 o'clock. Therefore, you ignored him for 4 hours on the 25th of March, 2025. That's your response to Chair. And I'm saying to you, that's incorrect, because within an hour, you actually respond, and you respond directly to the issue of the companies. So it's not a different incident, it's the same day, within an hour.
Commissioner Baloyi, if you allow me to proceed, you will
It's
see
Khumalo,
what...
it's not Baloyi.
Sorry,
It's
Commissioner
Khumalo.
Khumalo.
Yes.
If you allow me to proceed,
Yes.
I respond to another text from him. There's another text that I respond to. It's a different incident. Yes, it's on the same day. The times
Within
are
an hour.
different.
Can you just agree that it's within an hour?
Let me check that, Chair. I'm not sure.
It's in 177.
So on 177, at 7:08,
Yes.
he sends me another email. Is that not a trigger, Commissioner Kumar? Is that not another trigger? With all fairness and with all due respect, do I initiate this again, or does Sergeant Nkosi trigger this discussion again? With all fairness, It's a trigger from Sergeant Kosi, Commissioner Khumalo. It's not me. Hence, I'm saying this is the fourth instance that this matter comes upon. So I want to respectfully disagree with your notion that I am the one who's entertaining this now. That's not correct, Commissioner Khumalo. It's the fourth instance, and I want to stick to that because what's in front of us and the evidence presented, it's clear. I ignore him on the third instance, and I'm getting to the to the fourth instance, which we are here now. He then sends me a list of companies again.
Before you discuss the fourth instance, at page 157, you did not ignore him, you acknowledged him. There is no intervening telephone call or communication between you. In fact, what you do is he sends you those names and you acknowledge him by saying Mfowethu. That's not to ignore him. You have acknowledged him. And in fact, you follow it up with a message that says, let's meet. So I expressed my irritation with him, one of the two options that you said would be your possible responses. At 157, there is no record of you indicating any annoyance with him sending these messages. This message, in fact, which you say is a reminder. And two, you haven't ignored him. You, in fact, acknowledge his message. And then you go on to arrange a meeting with him. By any description or definition, you did not ignore him.
So, Chair,
And this is apart from that it does not make sense that the first time he sends you these things, you then say, as you tell us, you have these telephone calls, you actually say thank you. And you say, I had telephone calls where I told him he must not send me these things because there's nothing I can do. Well, he sends you a reminder and you say thank you to the reminder. That's what you say. And then the next thing you do, he sends you another reminder. You tell us it's another reminder. You say Mfowethu. At no point is there record before us of you having ignored him or in any way expressed an annoyance. In fact, your WhatsApp messages are encouraging.
Commissioner, firstly, I respectfully disagree with you. I'm not encouraging him at all. I am expressing myself in the manner that I've explained to the Commission. There are three ways that I do express myself in various circumstances. Through official telephonic phone call, one. Secondly, I'll just ignore something that is persistently annoying me. And the third would have been easier. And maybe I should have done that, but I didn't at this point in time because I saw it irrelevant from my perspective. So, Chair, I also want to disagree with you, Commissioner Baloyi, when you want to link something that happened so later on. I mean, it can't be linked to the two. I'm not responding to that. 4 hours down the line, I'm on 157 now. I'm not entertaining this. We meet on a regular basis. This was a meeting to discuss whatever else that we would normally have. It was not me entertaining in whatever form or shape the message that was sent at 8:12, 4 hours down the line. It wouldn't have been practical for me to reopen a discussion at that stage on 157. On 177, after the three instances that have just now occurred and that we have all just seen, 11th, 18th, 25th, it happens again now on the 25th, as Commissioner Khumalo rightfully says. He sees that I'm ignoring him. Because I don't respond to what he says, he then sends it again. And it's a fourth trigger from my side. At this point in time, Chair, I must admit to you, on 177, chat number 3, from the top and from the bottom, sends me a list of companies, please given to Mfowethu in order of priority. This is a persistence again from my side. And I'm clear now that this is no longer an element of misunderstanding. It could be someone really, really trying his luck. What I would normally do in instances of this nature, which I face almost on a daily basis, Chair, I need to apply a strategy. And a strategy is two ways. Cause outright conflict and be crystal clear and have a situation where I wouldn't know what the outcome is. Secondly, try and come up with a strategy that will entertain, play along, and try and huff and puff. That's what we normally say. You huff and puff at a situation, but I know there's nothing I can do. This tender process is independent. There are segregation of duties. If you now go further on to 177, I respond to him, and this is where I think Commissioner Kumala was going to. I say to him, thanks, Mfowethu, I am on top of this. I then respond again. I meant to say, is this our list? Is this the list? Is this the final list when I repeated that? So this is me entertaining him and playing along, Chair. At this point in time, I was annoyed. There had been significant persistence. In my assessment, this was no longer a case of misunderstanding.
Can you please read the rest of the WhatsApp? It says, this is ours, Mfowethu.
Yes.
This is, not is this. This is our final list, right?
And there's a question mark, yes.
Yes.
True.
Our final list.
Yes. So it says here, this is ours, Mfowethu. This is the final list.
What is ours?
I meant to say, is this the final list?
No, the first part of that chat. There are two questions there and two different things. You say, this is ours, Mfowethu.
Yes.
This is our list, right? Our final list, right? So I'm
True.
asking about the first one. This is ours. What do you mean?
I meant the same thing, Chair. This is the final list. That's what I meant.
By ours?
Chair, this is the contents of a text. In a text, you don't really formalize discussions. Some instances, it could come across as informal when you mean something. In this case, I clearly meant this is the final list.
Ours. I'm asking about ours. What does it mean when you say ours?
It meant this is the final list, Chair.
But ours refers to me and you.
True.
Yes, so that's what I'm asking. When you say ours, what do you mean here?
Okay.
A list is a separate issue. But you and me, ours, what do you mean when you say?
So in the context of this discussion, which I would honestly like to stick to, my understanding at the point when I was sending this message to Sergeant Kosi was, this is the final list. That's what I meant.
What final list?
The final list where we need
What
to-
list were you discussing
Yes.
with him as being a final list of what?
So on 177,
Yes,
chat number 3 from the top, he sends me a list of companies.
Yes.
These are the list of companies that he's persistently asking me to check for compliance
okay.
as per my sworn affidavit. So I'm saying this is the final list that you want me to assist in checking compliance. That's my understanding of this context of the discussion, firstly, in the message that he sends me, Commissioner Baloy. Secondly, in the response that I gave. It might not have been in a formally structured sentence that would make sense in a context of this nature, but my understanding at the point in time and my understanding now was that he wanted me to check compliance for the list of 7 companies that are stated on page 177. The context of this discussion is in the repetitive nature on how I was persisting on this from 148, 152, 157 on the 11th, 18th, and 25th of March. It was persistent from my perspective.
You see, the list at page 177, that text rather,
Yes.
at 177, he says, our vehicles, Captain, find below our vehicles for land to be given to Mfowethu in order of priority.
Yes.
Are you asking us to ignore in order of priority as having any meaning?
No, not at all, not at all. Commissioner.
You want us to understand that he was saying to you, check for compliance in order of priority?
Remember, Commissioner, it's what I understood from reading this text.
Yeah, no, I'm asking you a question. Are you
And-
asking us, are you saying to us, we should understand the end of that message where it says in order of priority? We must understand it to mean he was saying, check these in order of priority for compliance.
Commissioner, for me to make you understand, I need to make you understand what I understood. That's what I can do. What I
Okay.
understood at this point in time,
Yes.
as per the context of the discussion, was that give these vehicles in order of this priority to check compliance. That's what I understood at the time.
That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all that he gives you a list and says check check compliance in order of priority. It doesn't make sense because if all you're doing is checking compliance, it really doesn't matter what order you're checking them against. You could start at the bottom and end, which is Shumile Security Services. You could have started there and ended at number 1, El Shaddai. It would not have made a difference if all you were doing was checking compliance.
You see, Commissioner, I need to explain to you what I understood. How he said it, I can't comment on what he understood when he said that. But
Well,
within the discussion that we had, please, Commissioner, discussions that we had starting on 148 was purely for me to check compliance, which I couldn't do, and I'm clear to that. I couldn't do, and I did not do that. because it was outside my domain. But the context of these discussions continue. They say check compliance. So when I'm understanding this, from me being a recipient of this message is check this compliance in order of this priority.
Yes.
That's what I understood.
Okay. Lastly, from me on this page, at least on this WhatsApp message, what I'm challenging is not how he said it. I'm challenging what you say was your understanding of it and what you want us to accept as what it means, that it does not make sense that you would have understood it that way.
Commissioner, it's a bit difficult if you were to challenge an understanding of a person who received a message. It could be coming across in a different setting. We are in a commission, but of course my understanding stands. That's what I understood at the time, Commissioner, and that's what I still understand now.
You have answered me, Mr. Mnisi. I don't think it gets better.
But let me just
I've heard what you say, and if what you're doing is repeating what you have said, you know my position about it is what you put to us as your understanding of this message does not make sense.
Commissioner, I think...
sorry, please respond.
Thanks, Chair. Chairperson, I'm here to give evidence in terms of the understanding of these discussions. This discussion took place more than a year ago at this stage. I need to come here and testify and give my version of events in the form of what I understood at the time. So this is my understanding. I've got no reason absolutely, Commissioner, to lie about this. This is my understanding on this message. There are two things that I understood from this message in particular before we move on to the rest of my messages, because that's where I think I really need to explain on what I said and what was the reason behind me saying that. What he said and what he meant, it's a different story. What I understand from what he says to me, two things, Commissioner. The first one, please check compliance, which has been repeating all along. The second one, in order of this priority. That's what I understood. But I also need to state on that is my responses. Because as Commissioner Khumalo was stating, I should have been expressly clear. This is a point in time where this is coming up for the fourth time from the same individual. From my perspective, firstly, I would have thought he understood that there's nothing I could do. He clearly didn't understand. Moving on, the persistence also shows me that over and above not understanding the context of what I'm saying, there's now a trigger of me being triggered to try and assist with these matters. So what do I do now? Because I realized that okay, this is more than just checking compliance now. He doesn't say it. There's no way he says it, Commissioner. He doesn't say that I need you to make sure that these companies are appointed. But as a seasoned professional, I realize that there's no one that would persist so much after I'm clearly telling him that there's nothing I can do in this. I realize that between 157 and 177, that this is something that I must do further than just checking. And it's completely out of my range and there's nothing I could do about this. I then respond. In my responses, at the bottom of 177 and at the top of 178, I say, thanks, Mfowethu, I'm on top of this. I say, this is ours, Mfowethu, this is the final list.
Just before you go on, just before you go ahead, two things. It was you that he wanted to check compliance.
Yes.
Not anybody else. Not anybody else.
He was asking me.
Yes. So he wanted you to check compliance.
Yes.
That text, the second last text, the one with a list of names of entities, there's reference to this list being given to Mfowethu. You see that?
Yes.
Who was that Mfowethu?
I can't speak for what he was saying. I don't know what he was referring to when he was saying that. I read this message that I must check for compliance for these companies.
Where's checking compliance here, Mr. Mnisi?
Okay.
Where's checking compliance here?
Yes.
Captain, find below, and by captain he was obviously referring to you, correct? Or was it a forwarded message? Oh, okay. But who was this Mfowethu? Do you know or don't you know?
Chair, I can't see if this is a forward message. I read this as a message from him to me.
to you.
That's how I read this
Okay,
message. I'm
all
unable
right.
to see whether this is a forwarded message or whatsoever. Hence, when I respond to this,
Okay, let's forget about Captain then. Who's this Mfowethu? You say you do not know.
Chair, like I'm saying to you, this is a message he writes and sends to me. I read this message, I interpret it in my way. When I interpret these messages, here are a list of companies. Chair, I skim read on a number of occasions. I can't sit and read documents one by one. There's thousands of documents I read on a daily basis.
This is just one text,
Chair.
and you have not suggested that you did not read it. So let's not complicate matters by referring to thousands of documents. This is one text,
Yes, Chair.
and you have not suggested that you did not read it. So you read it.
Yes,
And
Chair.
you have said a good few times that you understood it in the manner in which you have described it.
Spot on, Chair.
So I'm just trying to understand within the way in which you saw the message, what the Mfowethu referred to is. You say you do not know.
Chair.
Here's my difficulty. With that part of the message that you do not understand, that to me seems to cut across the idea that this was about compliance. And in any event, there's nothing in the text about compliance. This says, here's the list that's going to be given to Mfowethu in order of priority. Do you want to comment?
Yes, I do, with due respect.
Yes.
And I must say, Chair, that was a very loaded statement that you gave, so I'm going to try and break it down now. And in me break it down, firstly, I must give the Commission my understanding of this message. It's a message that I received. When I receive this message, I see keywords. 7 companies I see, priority I see. But with due respect, Chair, you can't read this message on 177 in isolation of page 148, in isolation of page 150. It's a build up. This is a build up, so it would be extremely unfair for us to take this as an isolated single event. It's a build up starting on the 11th of March. We're now sitting on the 27th of March. Hence, it's so important for me to bring the context so that we all understand. Not on each message would there be check compliance, check compliance, check compliance. It happened on the first encounter via telephonic discussion as I presented on page 148 on the 11th of March. From then, I understood and I knew what this matter was about.
Yes, let's zoom in on that. You said on that build-up, you came to understand that he actually wanted to ensure that the municipality, and because he was communicating with you, I can directly say that you would make sure that these entities get the award and get the award in the order listed. You said that's how you eventually came to understand he was seeking to convey. You said so when responding to one of Commissioner Baloyi's questions, correct?
Correct, Chair. I
Yes,
said that,
yes,
and that was my
yes,
understanding due to the
yes.
persistent nature of this. It was
Yes.
no longer a case of someone not understanding. There was more to that. But I must also state, Chair, it does...
Please try to be short if questions don't require lengthy explanations, and this one did not. Thank you. Now, that's the understanding you had come to have. And let's look at your response. Now you have the understanding that, and bear in mind that when we go back, the request was about something you could not do and you had told him so. He persists. Now it gets to a point where you realize that what he actually wants is that you should do an improper award. You've just said so. Now let's look at your response. You say, thanks Mfowethu, I'm on top of this. Is that the sort of response one could expect from someone who actually realizes that this person wants you to commit corruption, wants you to effect an improper award? Is this the response? Thanks, Mfowethu, I am on top of this.
Okay, Chair. So like I was saying in the first place, I need to respond to this, taking into account that he doesn't say that I realized this on my own because of the persistent nature of this individual. At this point, Chair, I am annoyed because I was clear to you that there's nothing I could do. And I must also reiterate